Hello there, my friendly Canadian neighbors. Hey there, everybody. Have you ever heard of the War of 1812? If you haven't, it's probably because you're not from North America or you have poor knowledge of history. But if you haven't heard of it, it was essentially a war between British Canada and the United States back in 1812. Now these days, as a proud Michigander and Midwesterner, I consider Canada to be one of my best friends along with the states of Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and Illinois. But it wasn't always like that, and the war between Canada and America actually has many effects on the legacy of specifically me. So that's what we're talking about in this video. So the War of 1812 happened from 1812 to 1815 and started off with the British. They were really mad at the US for gaining independence from them, so the British decided to invade the US from Canada with the help of some Native American tribes and try to take back the US for themselves. This caused a 3-year-long war, which included events like the Canadians burning down the White House. Want a marshmallow eat? The capturing of areas in the Midwest, including areas in Michigan. What exactly do we gain from this? I mean, we got trees. And the conception of the song The Star-Spangled Banner. Does anyone else think this would make a really cool song? But eventually the Americans won the war and everything returned to normal. Normal for everyone else, but not normal for my legacy. There are many ways this war has affected my legacy, but one of the big ways is the fact that the War of 1812 had a few battles in Michigan. And as someone who lives in Michigan, all of these have effect on me. For example, the Battle of Mackinac had great effect on me because my dog's name is Mackinac. Or the Battle of Detroit. If that battle didn't happen, there's a chance that Werner's ginger ale wouldn't exist. And then what would I drink? Water? But the battle that had most effect on me was the Battle of River Raisin. This battle just so happened to take place right next to my favorite store known as Cabela's. Now, do these things correlate? I'm not entirely sure. Man, this would be a great place for a Cabela's. But what I do know is that if they do correlate, without this battle, Cabela's wouldn't be situated here, which means I would look a lot less cool because I get like 40% of my clothes from Cabela's. You look like a trucker. So essentially without this battle, I would be on a slower path to getting a girlfriend as I would not have cool clothes and wouldn't look as cool as I do now. Another way this war affected me is my grandmother, as she is a veteran of this war. Now how exactly does this affect me? Well, before this war, she used to speak in long poetic sentences, but unfortunately during the war she was hit by a cannonball that limited her vocabulary. This directly affects my legacy because now I'm genetically predisposed to have these same vocabulary limits, which will affect my legacy when I'm older. Could I borrow a quarter? The third way that the War of 1812 affects my legacy is that if the War of 1812 never happened, we would never have the American national anthem. Now this affects me in many ways. One way being is that without this song I would not need to stand at the beginning of football games, and without that my legs would not nearly be as buff from standing as they are now. Man, what an unbuff loser. Another way this song specifically affected me is that in Baltimore, my dad and I went to go see the place where this song was written. And if this song was never written, then we would have no need to go to that location, so we probably would have done another attraction in Baltimore, and there's a chance that on the walk over to that attraction, I would have fallen into the war, which would have affected my legacy a ton. Man, look at that loser who fell in Chesapeake Bay. The last way the War of 1812 affected me is that if the War of 1812 never happened, I would probably have a girlfriend, because my theory is that the perfect girl for me is Canadian, and as a ton of Canadians died in this war, there's a chance that the ancestors to my perfect girlfriend also died, which is why she doesn't exist. I would like to apologize for the excessive amounts of silliness featured in this video. This video was an April Fool's Day joke, and while I do believe that the War of 1812 affected my legacy, I don't think it's to the extent of what I said in this video. I would also like to clarify that Bubaba didn't fight in the War of 1812 because the War of 1812 took place 10 years before she was born. I hope you all have a splendid day.